Welcome to Craft Classroom. Today I'm going to share with you a really neat technique, and that is how to make a petal card using the Stampin Up Circle Scissor Plus. I'm sure you've seen many pre-cut petal cards before, but I was really excited when I read a book about Japanese gift wrapping and saw a cute little petal card which was created with 4 circles. So I took that basic idea and adapted it, because what I wanted to do was to create a petal card that would actually fit within the Stampin Up large white envelopes. So here's a sample of the card that I'm going to show you how to make today. What's fabulous about this is that you can use your double-sided designer series papers, and if you're anything like me, you'll have a whole stack of these at home waiting for you to use. I love the fact that I get a mixture of patterns within my designer series packs, but occasionally I find there's some designs that for one reason or another I don't end up using in a scrapbook page or a card, and these are the perfect sheets to use to create your petal cards. So they're very versatile, means that there's no wastage, you're not stockpiling papers. So let's get on and show you how to create this card. Now I have a sheet of paper here. I'll just move this into view. And what I've found when I'm cutting my 4 circles, it's a good idea to actually cut this into 4. So I'm just going to take out my paper trimmer and just slice this up into 4 equal pieces. Now the circles that I'll be cutting will be 5 inches in diameter, or 12.8 centimetres. Now the reason that I'm cutting this up to begin with is to make sure that I do get 4 circles on there, and you'll see how I do that when I start using the Circle Scissor Plus. Okay, we're going to start cutting our 4 circles that we'll need to make our petal card. So here I have a 6 by 6 inch piece of designer series paper. You'll need the glass mat from Stampin Up. I'm going to turn my piece of paper over to the reverse side, and I'm going to put some Dotto on there. So Dotto is your repositionable adhesive, and I will put a small amount of Dotto in each of the corners, and I also like to put a piece in the middle so that when I'm cutting the circle it doesn't spin around. Now when I'm finished, that Dotto is fabulous because all you need to do is to rub it with your finger and the little sticky dots disappear. So I'll turn that over and stick that down to my glass mat. So that's held quite firmly. And then I'm going to take my Circle Scissor Plus. Now I position it over the paper, and before I do cut, I spin around that template just to make sure that that hole is going to be over the paper. That way I know I'm going to be able to cut the circle out. The next thing I do is actually hold down the Circle Scissor Plus with my non-dominant hand. So since I'm right-handed, I'm holding that down with my left, and then I have the cutting blade. There's 2 little notches on the side of that, and it fits into the little holder like that. So when I go to cut it, all I need to do is to press down and very gently just spin it around in a circle. So we'll just take that off and have a look. Should be able to peel off that backing, and look, we have the perfect circle. Really, really easy. The one tip I'd just like to give you with the Circle Scissor Plus is that if you're doing several circles, just keep an eye that you're not knocking that dial, because with the dial, that controls the diameter of the circle. So I have that set to cut a 5-inch circle, but if you're cutting maybe 20 circles over a period of time, that dial, you might have knocked it and the size of your circle can change. So I would just keep an eye on the fact that it's staying in the same position. Okay, let's move on to assembling our petal card. Okay, we're going to assemble our petal card, and just in case you were wondering, your eyes aren't deceiving you, we have actually changed to a different piece of paper. So what I'm going to do with each of my 4 circles is we're going to fold the circles in half. That's the one I've cut, and I've got 3 more here that I've also done. Now, when you're folding them and you have a design like this umbrella design, which is actually from a retired designer series paper from a previous summer mini catalogue, you have to think about how you're going to fold and position the papers, because obviously you want the umbrellas to be the right way up. So just think about the whole thing before you actually start assembling it together, and you'll be really pleased that you did. What we need to do is actually weave these circles together. We're going to start with the top one, and what we're going to do is place the left-hand piece on top of it. We're then going to take the bottom piece, and then we're going to take the right-hand piece, and I'm going to slip that underneath the first piece that I placed in. So notice that with each of my 4 circles, I have alternated the pattern design. The next thing I'm going to do is fold the card front, and this is really important to do before you stick the card together, because then you can make sure you've formed a perfect square. So I'm going to fold down the first flap, fold down the second flap, fold down the bottom flap, and then my final flap on the right hand side, I'm going to fold that underneath the first flap. Once I've done that, I can actually manipulate these pieces to make sure I've formed a perfect square and that everything is as tight as it can possibly be. If you stick it down before you fold the card, you'll find that you won't necessarily have a square. I'm now going to turn that card over, and I'm going to glue down the back flaps. Now, I could use snail adhesive, but on this occasion I'm going to go for my Tombow multi-purpose adhesive. I'm going to lift up each of the flaps and just pop a small amount of that underneath each of the flaps. Once I've stuck those down, I can turn my card back over and I can open it up. Okay, the next step of that card is that I actually adhere inside the card 2 squares. The first one is a 5-inch rose red square, followed by a 4 3/4 whisper white square. And then you can embellish or decorate that however you like. In the case of this sample, I've actually used a stamp set which is called Inviting, and that's a really useful stamp set, not surprisingly, for inviting. And so you have 3 word sets: you're invited, it's a shower, and let's celebrate, followed by an information panel for your event. So it's very versatile. You could use it for weddings, birthday parties, all sorts of different things. And I'll just share one other card that I made with you. And again, I used the Inviting stamp set, and I created this to invite some of my customers who've purchased Big Shot machines from me to a special class that I run for people that have the Big Shot machine. So how nice it would be to receive something like that in the mail. So there we go. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you feel inspired to go and create a whole lot of petal cards using your designer series paper. And check back soon for the next video. Thank you.